Oh, hello there, dears. It's your old Grandma Hattie here, settling down with a cup of chamomile tea in my cozy rocking chair by the window. The rain's pattering against the panes tonight, just like it did on so many evenings when I'd sit here wondering about life's little mysteries. You know, I've got a story for you today that's been weighing on my heart for a good long while. It's one of those tales that starts out sweet as pie, full of love and laughter, but then, oh mercy, it twists and turns like a country road after a storm. Let me tell you, honey, this one's about my dear husband, Harold, God rest his soul, and those peculiar trips he made to the bank every single Monday for 35 years. I never questioned it much while he was alive, but after he passed, well, that's when I uncovered the truth, and let me just say, it froze me right to my bones. Pull up a chair, get yourself something warm to sip on, because this is going to be a long one. We'll take our time, just like I do when I'm knitting a blanket, stitch by stitch, until the whole pattern reveals itself. Now, where should I begin? I suppose at the very start, back when I was just Hattie Mae Johnson, a wide-eyed girl of 19 working at the local diner in our little town of Willow Creek, Kentucky. It was 1958, and the world felt full of possibilities. Elvis was crooning on the radio, and folks were buzzing about that new Sputnik thing up in space. Me? I was slinging hash browns and coffee, dreaming of a family of my own someday. That's when Harold walked in, tall as an oak tree, with that shy smile and eyes the color of fresh brewed coffee. He was a mechanic at the auto shop down the road, hands always a bit greasy, but oh, he cleaned up nice. "Miss, could I get a slice of your apple pie?" he asked that first day, tipping his hat like a gentleman from the movies. I blushed something fierce, and before I knew it, we were chatting about everything from the weather to our favorite hymns at church. Harold was 5 years older, steady as a rock, and he came from a good family. His pa owned a small farm on the outskirts of town. We courted proper-like, with picnics by the river and dances at the community hall. He proposed on a starry night in June, down on one knee with a simple gold band that he'd saved up for. "Hattie Mae," he said, his voice trembling just a bit, "will you make me the happiest man in Willow Creek?" Oh, my heart fluttered like a butterfly in a jar. We married that fall in the little white church on Maple Street, with wildflowers in my hair and his mama crying happy tears in the front pew. Our early years were pure bliss, dears. We rented a tiny cottage with a picket fence, and Harold fixed up an old Ford truck for us to drive around in. I quit the diner to keep house, and soon enough, our first baby came along, little Emily, with her daddy's eyes and my curly hair. Harold was over the moon, rocking her to sleep every night while humming old folk tunes. He'd come home from the shop smelling of oil and sweat, but he'd wash up quick and scoop her into his arms. "Look at our little miracle, Hattie," he'd whisper, and I'd feel so full of love I thought I'd burst. By the time our second child, Tommy, arrived 2 years later, Harold had gotten a promotion at work. He was good with engines, could fix anything with wheels or gears. We saved enough to buy a modest house on Elm Avenue, a 2-story with a big backyard for the kids to play in. Life settled into a rhythm, you know? Mornings filled with the smell of bacon frying, afternoons with laundry on the line flapping in the breeze, and evenings around the dinner table sharing stories from our days. Harold was the kind of man who never raised his voice, always had a kind word for neighbors, and tithed faithfully at church every Sunday. But here's where things get a mite curious, looking back. It started around 1960, not long after Tommy was born. Every Monday morning, without fail, Harold would kiss me goodbye a tad earlier than usual. "Gotta stop by the bank on the way to work, darlin'," he'd say, adjusting his tie in the mirror. At first, I didn't think much of it. Banks were for depositing paychecks or maybe handling some paperwork. But it became a ritual, rain or shine, holiday or not. He'd head out that door at 8:15 sharp, detour to the Willow Creek Savings and Loan, and then on to the shop. When he'd come home, he'd never mention what he'd done there. If I asked casually over supper, "How was the bank today, dear?" he'd just smile and say, "Oh, same as always, Hattie. Nothing to worry your pretty head about." Now, I wasn't one to pry. Trust was the foundation of our marriage, built on years of shared joys and sorrows. We'd weathered tough times together, like when Emily had that bad case of pneumonia at age 5, and Harold sat by her hospital bed for 3 straight nights, holding her tiny hand. Or when the auto shop nearly closed during the recession in '73, and he took odd jobs mowing lawns to keep food on the table. Through it all, he was my rock, and I was his. So those Monday bank visits? I chalked them up to some quirky habit, maybe managing our savings or paying bills in person like folks did back then. ATMs weren't common yet, after all. As the years rolled on, our family grew. Emily turned into a spirited teenager, always with her nose in books, dreaming of becoming a teacher. Tommy was the opposite, rambunctious, forever tinkering with gadgets like his daddy. We had family vacations to the Smoky Mountains, where we'd hike trails and roast marshmallows under the stars. Harold would tell ghost stories around the campfire, his voice dropping low for the scary parts, making the kids squeal with delight. And then, the shadow moved, he'd say, and I'd swat his arm playfully. "Harold, you'll give them nightmares." But even in those happy times, there were little cracks, hints I didn't see until much later. Like how Harold would sometimes stare off into space during dinner, his fork hovering midair, as if his mind was miles away. Or the way he'd get a faraway look when we'd drive past the bank on Sundays after church. Once, in 1975, I found a crumpled receipt in his pocket while doing laundry, something about a deposit, but the amount was odd, not matching our usual finances. "What's this, Harold?" I asked, holding it up. He took it gently, folded it away, and said, "Just some old business, Hattie. Nothing important." His eyes didn't quite meet mine, but I let it go. Marriage is about choosing your battles, isn't it? Our kids grew up fast. Emily went off to college in Lexington, met a nice boy named Robert, and they married in '82. Tommy followed suit, becoming an engineer and settling down with his wife, Sarah, right here in Willow Creek. Grandbabies came along, first little Josie from Emily, then twins from Tommy, Mark and Lily. Oh, the joy those little ones brought. Harold transformed into the perfect grandpa, building treehouses in the backyard and teaching them how to fish in the creek. Mondays, though? Still the bank. By now, it was as routine as breathing. He'd wave goodbye, his hair turning silver, his steps a bit slower with age, but that determination in his eyes never faded. Let me paint you a picture of one particular Monday in, say, 1990. It was early spring, the dogwoods blooming pink and white along the streets. I was in the kitchen, kneading dough for biscuits, when Harold came down the stairs in his pressed shirt and slacks. "Morning, love," he said, pecking my cheek. His cologne, that same old spice he'd worn since our courting days, lingered in the air. "Off to the bank?" I teased lightly, flour on my hands. He chuckled. "You know me too well, Hattie. Be back before you miss me." But as he drove away in our old Buick, I stood at the window, watching the taillights disappear. A tiny niggle of doubt crept in. Why the bank every week? We had direct deposit by then, bills paid by mail. But I shook it off, turned back to my baking. Trust, remember? Life threw us curveballs as we aged. In '95, Harold had a mild heart scare. Doctors said it was stress, prescribed rest. I fussed over him like a mother hen, making sure he took his pills. During his recovery, I offered to handle the bank errands. "Let me go for you this Monday, dear. You need to stay put." His face paled, and he sat up straighter in bed. "No, Hattie. I can manage. It's personal business." Personal? After 37 years of marriage? That stung a bit, but he looked so earnest, I dropped it. Instead, we focused on the good, family gatherings, holidays with the grandkids clamoring for Grandpa's stories. The grandkids adored him. Josie, now a teenager, would sit at his feet listening to tales of his youth. "Tell us about the war, Grandpa," she'd beg, even though Harold hadn't fought. He'd been too young for Korea, too old for Vietnam, but he'd spin yarns about his uncles who did. Mark and Lily, the twins, were 8 by then, full of energy. One Christmas in 2000, Harold surprised them with handmade wooden trains, carved in his workshop. "Made with love," he said, his eyes twinkling. But even then, Mondays persisted. I'd see him prepare his envelope, always a plain white one, sealed tight, before heading out. As the new millennium dawned, technology changed everything. Emily and Robert moved to Nashville for his job, taking Josie with them. Tommy and Sarah stayed close, but life got busier. Harold retired in 2005, at 72, his hands arthritic from years of wrench turning. We spent lazy days gardening, me tending roses, him fixing birdhouses. But those bank visits? Unchanged. By now, it was online banking era, but Harold insisted on in-person. "I like seeing familiar faces," he'd say. The tellers knew him by name, always greeted him warmly when we'd go together for other things. One day in 2010, I finally pressed a little harder. We were sitting on the porch swing, watching fireflies dance in the twilight. "Harold, after all these years, what's so special about those Monday trips?" He paused, his hand squeezing mine. "It's for us, Hattie. For our future." Cryptic, but sweet. I leaned my head on his shoulder, content. Our love had deepened with time, like fine wine. We celebrated our 50th anniversary that year with a big family party, kids, grandkids, even great-grandbaby on the way. Harold gave a toast, to Hattie, the light of my life. Through thick and thin. Everyone cheered, but I noticed his voice catch, eyes misty. Health declined slowly. In 2015, Harold was diagnosed with early dementia. It started small, forgetting keys, repeating stories. I became his caretaker, reminding him of appointments. Mondays, though? He remembered those. Even as confusion set in, he'd dress and head to the bank. I'd drive him sometimes, waiting in the car. He'd emerge looking satisfied, clutching a receipt. All set, he'd say. The end came suddenly in 2020, amid that awful pandemic. Harold caught the virus at 87, and though he fought hard, his heart gave out. I was by his side in the hospital, holding his hand as he whispered, "Love you, Patty, always." Then he was gone. The grief hit like a tidal wave, 52 years together, poof. Family rallied around me, Emily flew in, Tommy handled arrangements. The funeral was small, due to restrictions, but heartfelt. We buried him beside his parents in the town cemetery, under a shady oak. In the weeks after, sorting through his things was torture. His closet still smelled of him, Old Spice and pipe tobacco. I found old photos, love letters from our courting days. My dearest Hattie, one read, "You're my everything." Tears flowed freely. Then, among his papers, a bank statement caught my eye, from Willow Creek Savings, an account I didn't recognize. Our joint savings were straightforward, but this? Separate, in his name only. Balances showing weekly deposits for decades, small amounts, $50 here, $100 there, adding up. Curious, I called the bank. Mrs. Thompson, the manager said kindly, "Your husband had a safety deposit box too. As executor, you can access it." My heart skipped. What could be in there? I scheduled a visit for the next Monday, fitting, I thought wryly. Oh, dears, that's when everything shattered. I drove to the bank, hands trembling on the wheel. The teller, Miss Evelyn, who'd known Harold forever, led me to the vault. He came every Monday like clockwork, she said. Always so polite. She handed me the key, and I opened the box with bated breath. Inside, stacks of letters, photos, documents. My knees buckled as I sifted through. First, a birth certificate for a girl named Clara, born in 1960. Mother, Lorraine Davis. Father, Harold Thompson. My Harold. A child? From before Tommy? We met at a cafe midway. Clara looked so like Emily, it hurt. Over coffee, she shared, her mother, Lorraine, had a brief affair with Harold right after our engagement. Pregnant, she moved away. Harold, guilty, promised support, weekly, in person at first, then deposits. He visited sometimes, Clara said. Told me about you all, how happy he was. But he made me promise secrecy. Heartbreak deepened. But Clara? Kind, no resentment. He loved you most, she said. I was the mistake he tried to make right. Redemption came slow. We invited Clara to family gatherings. At first awkward, Tommy wary, Emily curious. But the grandkids? They embraced Aunt Clara warmly. Her sons became cousins to ours. Justice? Of sorts. Harold's will left everything to me, but I shared with Clara a portion of savings, mementos. He'd want this, I told her. Poetic twist, that secret account? Funded college for Clara's kids, our half-grandkids. Harold's lie birthed good too. Now, dears, as I wrap this up, phew, we've been chatting a spell, remember, family's everything, but secrets erode like water on stone. Trust must be earned, forgiveness given wisely. Oh, And count your blessings, even in betrayal. Life's too short for grudges.